Hello everyone, my name is Erica from Me to You Paper Crafts, and I'm coming to you today with a three-dimensional project for storing your spools of ribbon. Now, I came across this box idea from a lady by the name of Jane Dooley. She's another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I really love the idea. I had already purchased, of course, the 5 new in colors in all of the inks and the ribbons and the papers, etc. And I was already using the ribbon, and I found because this ribbon is very soft, it's a soft cotton ribbon, it was coming off the spool, quite a bit, and I was constantly having to rewind it back on the spool. So when I saw her box, I thought, oh my gosh, that's kind of a cool idea. I can just keep the ribbons in the box and just pull the ribbon out from the little hole. See, there's a little hole in the spine there. Well, the first box that I made using her dimensions, it worked quite well, except that it was a very, very tight fit, and so I found it hard to pull the ribbon. As I pulled the ribbon, the spool wanted to come out. It's almost impossible to pull the ribbon. So maybe I made it incorrectly following her directions, I'm not quite sure, but it was a little tight. So I rejigged the measurements to make it just a tad, I think it was about 1/8 of an inch wider this way. And so now you can see that I can just easily pull the ribbon out from the box, okay? So I'm going to give you my measurements, and then you can choose to make these boxes. Now, of course, you don't have to add DSP if you don't want to. I like the idea of matching the colored cardstock to the color of the ribbon, but again, you could make them all out of Whisper White, or make them all out of black, or whatever you want. But I thought it was kind of fun to have these up on my ribbon shelf and have them in different colors. So at first I thought, well, I'm just going to do these for the in colors, and then I loved the idea so much and it worked so well that I've just been making ribbon boxes like crazy. Now, not all of our ribbon spools are the exact same size. They are typically the same size in diameter, but they are not the same width. Okay, now I wanted to rejig the design so that I could put some of our wider spools in there, but what happened then is I couldn't really start with a standard sheet of cardstock. I had to move to 12 by 12, and I didn't really want to do that, and so I made the same size box, but you'll notice here's an example where this spool is a lot wider across here, and so it fits in the box and it works quite well. So I can pull the ribbon out, but it just makes the box a little fat along the top, but I think for the most part it worked quite well. And then of course we have some spools that are really quite wide, and they don't unravel as quickly or as easily as the finer ribbons or the thinner ribbons, so I'm not going to make boxes for the very large spools of ribbon. Most of the ribbons are this size here, so it works quite well for this size. Okay, so I'm going to show you, I recently got the Ornate Garden Suite, and of course it comes with these 2 ribbons, and again these, you're constantly rewinding them on there, and so I'm going to make boxes for these 2. So these are the standard sizes. And so this color is Terracotta Tile, and this color is Old Olive. So I will show you what I'm planning to do for those. I won't make both boxes on the video, but I'll show you the one. But I've cut my cardstock here, so I have one for the Old Olive, and I chose to use the Ornate Garden Designer Series paper to decorate the box with. And then for the Terracotta Tile, I picked out the 6x6 paper pack of the same color. Okay, and so I'll make a box out of this. So I'll give you the box measurements, and I will, this will come with a blog post with all of your cutting and scoring measurements if you don't want to sit down and write them all down. All right, so your basic piece here is, it's 3 3/4 inches wide, and it's 8 1/4. So you take your 8.5 by 11 and you just chop off 3 3/4 off the 8.5 end of it, and then you just trim it down by 1/4 of an inch. So 3 3/4 by 8 1/4. And then I'll show you what the scoring measurements are. I'll pull out my scoreboard Now, before I score any of my cardstocks, I do like to run a piece of wax paper on my cardstock, which helps the stylus glide a little easier. So you just give it a bit of a rub. Okay, so your measurements are on the long side. You're going to start off at 1/2 inch. And then you are going to move over to 3 7/8. So 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7/8. 3 7/8. Then you're going to go to 4 3/8. So 4 and 1, 2, 3/8. That gives you that middle spine where you're going to put a hole in to thread the ribbon. And then your last score mark is at 7 6/8. So 7 and 4, 5, 6/8. Okay, and then this becomes your glue tab. All right? Or bye! Have a good evening! So you basically have the two sides of your box, which are 1/2 inch, and then you have your spine as well on here, okay? So now you're going to rotate this to the short side, and you're going to score that at 1/2 inch. This forms the bottom of the box. So this is more or less a typical box, but you just don't have a top. Okay, it's an open top. So what I like to do is I like to score. After scoring, I like to burnish all of my lines, and I am folding on the mounting. So that's where the bump is. Okay, so I'm going to burnish all of these score lines. And then before I actually assemble the box, I will glue on my designer series paper on here. Okay, and then we have a bit of cutting to do. Okay, so you're cutting, you're going to create the adhesive tab that holds the box together. So I'm just going to cut up this corner, and I'm going to wedge it and wedge the top. Okay, so this is my glue tab. It's most commonly referred to as a glue tab. And then I'm going to cut up these two pieces. This is one of the tabs, and I'm just going to wedge into the corner like that. And then I'm going to do this last tab here. Just cut up and then wedge the corners out. Okay. All right, now I'm going to, now this is the fold over tab, like that, for one side of the box, and this becomes double thickness here. So it's on this middle spine here that you want to actually put a hole in to thread your ribbon through. So I'm pulling out my little punch here. This is an older punch. No, actually, this is our current punch. I'm sorry. I've got two punches like this, and one is an older punch. But this punch allows you to round your corners, put some kind of a sweet little floral embellishment on there, and then it also has a little hole here. It's an oval hole. Now, when you look at this punch, there is a line down the center here. So I'm going to put it on my tabletop, and I'm going to position the cardstock, and you'll also notice there is like a little, I call it a wall. There's a wall in there, and you want to make sure your cardstock is butted up right against the wall. And then I'm going to center that notch I showed you right in the center of that spine. Okay, so I'm just going to do that like that, and then punch. Okay, so you end up with this cute little oval punch that your ribbon will push through there. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to put tear and tape along the adhesive tab or the close tab and this bottom piece here. It is best if you use the tear and tape because it's a stronger tape, and you want to make sure your box stays put together. And then I'm going to put a strip along here. Try and go as close to that score line as you can. And give that a good rub to get that adhesive stuck on the cardstock. And then I'm going to take my tool here and I'm going to rip this off. Oh, before I should have done that, well, I'll do it now, but I should stick my DSP on first. But if you didn't want to put DSP on, then you could just put this box together like that. But I think it's fun just to add a bit of DSP. A three-dimensional project doesn't seem complete to me without putting some designer series paper on there. And I want to pull in my silicone mat so I don't get tape on my grid paper. Okay, so that's one piece. Now, this paper being cut at 3 by 3, it gives it a generous border all the way around. And if you wanted to cut yours just a little bit wider, maybe 3 1/8 by 3 1/8, you could do that. Yeah, I just found I had some extra time this week and I was enjoying just sitting here crafting. And so I went a little crazy on making these boxes. My ribbon shelf is really neat and tidy now. I know this is 3 by 3. I just want to reposition this. I'm going to turn it around. I don't know, that fits better. Maybe it's because this isn't exactly 3 by 3 in the middle, I'm not sure. Okay, all right, now I'm ready to assemble. Now, there might be a bit of an issue to deal with, okay? So what I want to show you is, when I go to put this box together, I can lie this completely flat. Just a piece of cardstock on there. Okay, make sure you line up these edges here. Sometimes when you burnish your folds, it's not quite exact, but just make sure these edges line up. Now, when you go to fold this over, if you find you've got a bit of resistance and the box is actually lifting up a little bit, it means there's too much bulk on this adhesive tab. So I'm just going to trim a tiny bit away on there. Okay, just going to trim that off. And now when I lie it flat, it should fold. Make sure this is completely straight and then fold this over. Okay, that worked way better. So just trim off a tiny bit if you find it a bit tight. Okay, and now I'm going to fold down my side tabs here and then that glue tab. Now I like to hold it on the sides here because I don't want the box to skew as I close the bottom. So I'm going to make sure it closes evenly on both sides like that. Okay, and then I'll turn it over and I'll use my bone folder just to, there you go, and there's your little hole there. So that's it, not very difficult at all. So let's pull in my ribbon and let's thread it through. Wow, that was easy. Thread that through the hole. Okay, and now I will roll it up I don't want that much ribbon sticking through. And there you go. Look how great this is. You hold it by the sides and then you just pull your ribbon for your project. Pretty cool, huh? I love it. So in the blog post, I'll put all the cutting and the scoring measurements, and so you can go ahead and you can make yourself some boxes too. I hope you enjoyed that video, and thank you so much for spending some time with me. If you enjoy my YouTube tutorials, then you can certainly subscribe to the channel. If you hit the little bell, you will then get a reminder that I've posted a new video. And please visit me over on my blog. It's frommetoyoupapercrafts.blogspot.ca. And if you would like to get notifications of when I post a new blog, then you can also subscribe to that as well. So thank you so much once again, and happy stamping, everybody. Bye for now.